It's time to talk about tank modelling. So I've been throwing around an idea for the channel for a long time now, relating to armour modelling. So this video will have a sprinkling of aircraft modelling if you're interested in that, and it might be worth staying around if you're not interested in armour modelling, but it's going to be predominantly about armour modelling. So just a warning there for any of you who go pale at the mention of tanks. It does happen. I want to really go way back, and the reason for this is was that there's a number of things. So just to put a disclaimer up, I am by no means a wizard of armour modelling. I speak from no level of profession or anything like that with it. Never placed in a competition with a piece of armour. That's a lie, because I've got a silver up there for an elephant, but not, I would say not properly. So I have, but I haven't, not at like national shows, there we go. And I haven't really ever built anything that I would deem of a level. But I have been around for a long time. I mean, this should tell you, I mean, this is the first time I bought Tamiya Model magazine. I remember it to this day. Where I bought it, what I did, was hanging around with some guys who weren't, certainly weren't into modelling and were into bad things. And how old was I? 13. I bought this, went on round to the cool kids who were smoking cigarettes and other things around the back of the swimming pool. And I sat there reading this, and I've never really worried about anything like that, and I didn't then, and I don't now, really. So this is October, November 2000. I wasn't new then. I'd been doing it from around the mid-90s. I'd say I had this thing about getting a Tamiya Tiger. I remember always going on to my dad and his friend Robert, who's hopefully watching, and I was always talking about this Tamiya Tiger because I remember Dad had built one and I just had it stuck in my mind. And I did go and get one, and it was very difficult. Now, saying that, yes, I did build one, so the time frame's all a bit weird, but I entered that into a junior competition, so I must have been 15 at least, so not much longer after that. And this is really where I transitioned from just building a model kit to wanting to do more. And then that's why I got this magazine. So we're going to have a deep dive in this is issue 82, where it all began, through to 107. I think that's probably just the gem that I'm looking for there. So we'll have a look at those. And I've got some very interesting books. Now, the reason I thought this would be useful, and again, I'm not just because I've been around armour modelling for a long time, I got a massive gap actually that everyone seems to know about and I totally missed. So I stopped around sort of college time, 2004, 2005, didn't really pick it back up until about 2010, 2011. So I missed Mig, he was just starting in these, Mig, Wilder, Rinaldi, and everyone else who was all influential through that period. I had no idea who any of these people are when I come back, never heard of them. I was thinking, why aren't people still dry brushing like Tony Greenland? That's kind of what I want to talk about here, because what I just wonder is if the same gulf that I had coming back is there from kind of the MiG days, if you like. There's a kind of transition. There's been a few transitions in armour modelling through the years where there's been sort of groundbreaking moves forward. So there's been, really it started in the 80s. I guess there was people doing it before, but we don't really know who they are, or I don't, and I'm not old enough for that. So you've got Verlinden, who's the first sort of pushing armour modelling forward. And at the same time, you've got Shep Paine, who's also not only doing it with armour, but it's more about dioramas, figures, aircraft, even like Napoleonic stuff and ships and things like that. And then you've got, for me, it's like a Bible, it really is the Panzer modelling masterclass. It was 1995, which is Tony Greenland, obviously just about German stuff. But this book is really what captivated me, and that is what pushed me into this, and that's how I then went on. Now, everything I do comes back to this. We all know YouTube is a fantastic resource. Facebook is almost overwhelming. There's so much on there that it's almost blasé. You see something brilliant and you go, oh yeah, brilliant. Oh yeah, brilliant. Gone are the days of Armorama. Again, did I miss a trick? I saw it in here, missing links. I saw it in here, there's something else. I think it's missing links. It's always advertised and I thought, oh, I don't know what that is. I go on Armorama. Well, if only I'd looked on missing links, I might have seen some of these guys who were starting to come through at this period. I never went on there. I was on Armorama, which was the kind of, I would have to say, looking back at it, the sort of lesser man's forum. I'm just so glad I got these because it was beginning in here. So there was a lot to have got. And this kind of crafted me into the modeler that I am now. And I'm finding as I'm getting to a certain point, not level, a certain point in my modelling, that I'm kind of jumping back to here. I'm not sort of going to where we are now. I know we got, there's too many about sort of, well, I fear it's all about chasing ultra realism, the best model, everything, accuracy, all the rest of it. Some of these models I've been, as a gallery in here, I won't tease you too much longer. It's going to be quite a long video, but I won't tease you too much longer. There's a gallery in here, and I always used to look at the models and think how great they were. And now I look back and Tiger tanks without open guide horns. There's other accuracy issues on other tanks, and you think, it doesn't actually detract from the model. We can get too caught up in all of this that we need to do to make it perfect, that all our peers are doing, rather than just doing what we want to do and just ploughing our own sort of furrow and going on in our own direction. I do worry that there's a little bit, this is that thing with scrolling where everything's brilliant and it all looks the same, dare I say. There's a touch of that creeping in for me. It's just a personal opinion. You can disagree with it. And I'm not saying I'm right. It's just how I feel. So I thought, well, never mind any of that. Let's just worry about what my channel's doing, which is going to wallow in the old days of armor modeling. I'm going to talk about why I think it's important. And I'm thinking about doing a little series around this, maybe even trying to emulate some of these chaps' models as we go on through, and maybe doing a build. I've got so many models that are almost getting old now and part of the collection, like Tamiya Tigers, for instance. I want a Tamiya Tiger. Well, I've got a Tamiya Tiger. Why not just build one out of the box or do a few little improvements and build it like we see in some of these magazines? So hopefully that's of interest. I'm hoping that there was nothing controversial in there. Again, just my opinions, and it seems silly that I need to caveat everything with this, but I do worry that things can be taken out of context. So for me, this is where I want to stay for the minute. Not necessarily reflecting what's on the channel, just in this section of videos. And I think it would be an interesting journey, because I do wonder, I get a lot of comments with people who are coming back to the hobby, or I built my first model because I saw your video. They're the sort of comments I get, which are fantastic. I wonder if those people know about these guys. If they don't, I wonder how they'd find out about them. So let's hope this video does that. So we'll switch it around now. The 4K quality is going to drop, I'm afraid, because we're going from the phone to the camera. And let's have a look on the bench. Right, I think we'll start from the beginning. So we'll get some of this out of the way. And we'll go back to who these people are and a little introduction into what it is I'm trying to talk about here. So we'll start with the first guy. And I will try and sort out this glare. So first off, we've got François Verlinden. Now, I've only got a tiny little bit of the material that's available. I'd love to have loads of this. I've sort of had it in the past, and then, you know, it's gone out of my collection, and you struggle to find them now, but I just love this sort of stuff. So I must look out for it when I'm out and around shows and stuff, although I don't go to as many as I used to. François Verlinden. I don't know as much about him as I would have liked. There was a good podcast I just listened to recently. I forget the name. I should have looked it up. I'll put it in the description below. Really, he was a Belgian modeller who I think, came to fame for his quite very realistic dioramas that people weren't really doing at the time. This is kind of what he was saying in the podcast as well. So let's see if we can find some of the larger ones. Now, I know some of the companies actually had him build models for them as well and put in certain areas or on box art and in magazines and things like that. But this was all sort of unheard of. Of course, now this is 2002 catalogue. And things were starting to change quite a lot. And I do remember on the podcast, I think he was saying that he built a lot of the stuff out of styrofoam and things like that. And when he explained this, the customers, because he ran a model shop, the customers were saying, well, I don't want to do that. I want to buy what you've made. So he started then making these out of plaster, and that's how this sort of come about. And I think at this point it's resin. He became quite big actually and moved to America. I think it's, yeah, there you go. This is when I knew it, when it was quite a big deal, but it wasn't so much at the start. He was smaller and grew through notoriety, basically. He was a very good modeller. Now, he was renowned. One of his main techniques, I wonder if there's actually anything. Oh no, this is the wrong magazine. So this is a catalogue for the stuff he was producing. Here, this is what he's renowned for. So you've got building dioramas. This is a chap in the club, model club, gave me these two, and it's the only two I've ever seen. I haven't got any more. So the classic thing that Verlinden would do is a technique called dry brushing. And it just gave that kind of gritty feel. And this is the classic vibe of tank modelling in the sort of mid-90s. It was just like that. Now, I'm not saying that we need to go back to that, but I'm just saying that there's a certain charm to it that I kind of like. And it's, it's not a bad model. And these techniques are far more approachable than some of the more modern techniques. And they look different. So, what have we got here? This is one of his sets for this is the Tamiya Tiger. And this is the set that's, adds the Zimmer, adds some photo etch. It was a bit notorious for being a bit iffy, some of that's the fit of that. This is the resin Zimmerit set. And then he takes you on through. This photo shows the Tiger after the initial oil wash. Some of the delicate parts, such as machine gun and hatches, have been removed until final assembly to protect from loss or damage. And this is the first pass of dry brushing. Further phase of weathering. Note how the contrast between shadows and highlights deepens, further enriching the overall colouring of the model. And there you can see it's quite a strongly dry brush effect there now with highlights. And then as we go on through, classic approach to weathering. This is the finished piece. It's not so much about accuracy, it's about making a tank look cool. That's what I'd say. Because already I'm thinking, I didn't see many Tigers with chains like that, and I'm thinking, oh, there's no open guide horns. Doesn't matter. Then we go on to the next thing, and what's good here is it's Allied as well as German, because there was a lot of German bias through the 90s, I must say. So this is a deuce and a half. Here we are with his figure sets, engine set, and it's just another magazine to sell his own products. But now that, if you presented a model like that now, it ain't gonna look half bad. It's really nicely done. This is what I've started. This is what's been ticking away in my mind for a while, for a couple of years really. I've been thinking about this. I just thought, is there scope to this? The KV. Again, it's a nice finish. It's a lot quicker as well. You're not getting so bogged down so much, but of course, it's far less detail as well. That's why. And like I've said before, not every model needs to be an award winner. Some can just be built for fun. And it might be worth trying out some of these techniques. So that's it. As we go on through, that's Verlinden, and then he features some other chaps who have some nice models. In here, sort of similar style but different finishing. That's VP Studio, so this is back with his Steyr. And then at the end, it's quite a nice piece. Here's the grey Panther. I must admit, when you watch some of the 1945 colourised, well, it's not colourised, I think it's in colour. They do look grey, they're not, but they look dark. And there we go, there's more in the range. I'd like to have one of each. And then we've got building dioramas. So we won't spend so much time on this because this isn't really what I want to do, dioramas. But it shows you, again, there's a lot of people contributing to this. So this is an actual set you could buy from Verlinden. It was that bit and that bit butted together. And then you've got some people contributing as well. The classic. I've got a built up 1/35th landing craft that I did when I was about 16. I found it in a box at Mum's house recently, and I thought, wow, that could make quite the piece one day. There's nothing wrong with it. And then here another classic factory scene with a Sturm Tiger and like a Burge Panzer. And this was a whole complete set you could buy. It's just fantastic. You know, as a child or young teenager, I mean, look at that. That is not hard to make, he says. But I mean, you know, it's a spare panther turret. You know, you could knock that up pretty easily. And there's so much, it's such a dynamic sort of scene. Brilliant stuff. As well as that, there was Shep Paine. This is one of the most classic books, certainly that he did. Now, when was this published? I was trying to look for a publication date. It must be here somewhere. 1980. So, getting on a bit. Now, this does show its age, but it really is, it's the quality of the kits, I would imagine, that's showing it. The techniques are still pretty good. There are some really classic scenes in here. The Dauntless, it's crashed and being chaps getting out. Liberator shows you how to pose a scene. You know, adding more detail. The scene gets better and better. And again, it's showing that, you know, this is boring, whereas that there's a lot going on. You've given height and merged it around and this, that, and everything else. It's a very good book for dioramas. These books are all still available, by the way. That always used to confuse me. I thought, God, where'd you get a straw like that to blow around? But, of course, it means use the same straw, but blow it in different directions. Now, what was important here as well is its figures, and that's a part of my modelling history that I would actually like to spend a bit more time on. And I did spend a week painting a Tamiya figure, which the face is terrible because I ran out of steam at that point. But I was really pleased with how the uniform came about, and I thought, you know, if I did sort of 5 of them or 10 of them a year, I'd get better. So you've got to spend the time. This is showing you how the Dauntless gets made up. Again, really classic scene. A lot of these were on the sides of boxes for like monogram kits and things like that. That's what Shep Paine was very well. He had like a deal with them. The classic 1/25th Tamiya Tiger. God, when I came back, when I was young, sorry, that was the kit everyone was after. It's not, you know, it's not really on the top of everyone's list these days, but it really was back in the day. You see it shows for like £150. You think, God, who spends that on models? But I could spend that in one weekend buying models. Again, just going on through, it's kind of exhaustive, but I'm trying to get to the point I'm trying to make here. Oh, the Lady Be Good, absolute classic, seeing that. Wonderful stuff. I just love flicking through these. Now, I've bought modern magazines, I bought modern books like this. I pick them up once, flick through them, put them down, don't think about it ever again. No, I rarely go back unless there was an article that I was interested in. Whereas these, you know, I've bent the spines on these for a reason. The fronts are folded over. Some of the magazine, there's a reason that's bent like that, because, you know, I was like 13 and I was reading it like this, going, oh, how do I build that? And that's what I'm kind of, I suppose it's the nostalgia. Now, as if, it sounded like I just threw that book down. I didn't throw it down, it slipped off. My most prized possession, chucks it. This here, I come back to this all the time. I do think this is the golden era of modelling. Now this says, you know, I know it's changed and I agree and I'm all for it. And I've just decapitated my Panzer chap there, but this model here is the modern techniques. It's fantastic. It's the best model I've ever made. I keep teasing this as well. There will be more on this soon. I know it looks shiny. It's the glare off the. I've got the camera set up for books. I'm all for it, but there's something about having to constantly push yourself with having a whole load of contemporaries who you follow or you interact, you know, you don't know, whatever, you look up to, whatever, and seeing them constantly raising their level, and it's always this constant, gotta get better, and at the end of it, it's a hobby, so you don't have to get better, and for me, the fun of it is just going back through this. Now, I've read this book front to back a number of times. We won't dwell on what the body of the book is. If you're in any way interested in Panzer modelling, this is a book worth looking at, even not thinking about models, just the stuff that's being talked about. It goes into everything. I mean, I've just, until my friend at the club who can do this, I'd never seen anything like this before. I just can't really understand how you make that. The only thing that's not scratch built is the tracks and the wheels. Everything else, I mean, even turned on a lathe, the barrel. And this is the point, you know, whether you like the finish of the model or not, you know, who's doing this now? You know, I don't know. I don't think anyone is. So, I couldn't understand this as a child. I just couldn't understand how all of those bits of plastic make where is it? This the Schmalterm. One more. Make that. I had no idea how he made that by using that. I see it now. Obviously, this is the internals and the bracing, and you just put the. But I just couldn't work it out. So the thing that's great about this book, which makes me keep picking it up, is the gallery at the back, as well as everything else goes into Zimmerit. I still maintain that the Zimmerit tutorial is still one of the best ways you could do Zimmerit. He says, "Where's that gone? I had it. There. I think you do best. You do well to make that better." And I never managed to do this. I've ruined so many kits trying to make this. When I was younger, I've done Zimmerit now, but yeah, I'm doing it now. I'm just looking at the magazine. This, I maintain, show me a figure that's better painted than these. I don't even know how it's possible. That is this big. It's not even a resin figure. That's the Tamiya figure that comes with the Sturm Tiger. He just put resin hands in it. Now, this isn't Tony Greenland. This is perhaps one of the best figure painters ever. Stefan Müller Herdemertens. I probably butchered that name. I still study this. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how you do the stitching like that on a figure this big. No idea. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I just carefully prime and just use artist oils. I've tried it, believe me, 10 times. I cannot get anywhere near it. Look at that. It's just incredible. I think the book is worth it alone just to look at these figures. But yes, then we get into the collection. So, running on through, it's all German tanks. I guess scratch-built bison. I mean, for goodness sake. It's just madness. Now, again, you know, my friend Dan has sort of let me peek behind the curtain a little bit, because he can do this. And even getting barrels turned up on lathes by other people. So, I mean, it is possible, but it seems so daunting. I'd love to have a go at scratch building, but I know it's not. I just know it's not for me. This is probably 10 years before Tamiya released this kit, and this is one here using the base of an Italieri 38T, building up the top. And it sort of makes sense, you know, but I can't even understand how you do one of those tractor type seats. I guess you on vac form, but It's easy to say, isn't it? Yeah, so as we go on through, it just goes on through the kind of the numbers, as it were, starting with the Panzer 1 and letting anything on the Panzer 2, Panzer 3 chassis. This is the classic Tamiya Panzer D. Lovely. I love that kit. Must have built it 3 or 4 times. I'd love to build it again in this style. Talieri kit, the mobile wagon, it's just fantastic stuff. Dragon kits were just starting out at this point as well. This is a full resin kit by Cromwell. Unbelievable. I mean, look at that. The unbuildable Tamiya A with a scratch built turret. Who knew? It is buildable. You've got Ninko kit, E50, the Tigers. I don't know how many. This is back in the day when Tamiya hadn't even released an early Tiger, so you had to buy the mid or the late and backdate it with a wheel set from Model Caston. There you go. See, look, not an open guide horn in the place. Not bothered. I'm pretty sure these are the vinyl tracks in the Italieri kit. Classic Tamiya King Tigers. Love it. This is another Nichimo kit. I mean, that's just old. And then go on through here. I've got one of these built up. I'd love to get the main kit. I missed it. Seems impossible to find now in the UK. I should have bought it. Should at least have it in the stash, but I don't. Panhard Classic. Built that based on this. Just lovely. It's just fantastic stuff. And the Landwasserschlepper, where I'd never even heard of such a thing until I saw this. Another resin kit from a Mini Art Studios, not to be confused with the Ukrainian company. So there we are. You should go out and buy these books. They're pretty cheap. If you haven't got them, you never heard of it, just buy them. Trust me, it's just so much goodness to look through. And then we go to my prized possession. I know this is getting long in the tooth, but if you're here with me now, you're probably up for it. Now, this is my collection of Tamiya model magazines. I think most of these are out of print. You can't even get them digitally. I think they're gone. Now, let's just look. I'm in one of these. Not for a model build. Yeah, there we are. I'm in this one. I remember this making my day. I'll tell you a little story. Why not? And there's actually a bad ending to this, because the day it arrived. So there was a... I might even have the one that I ripped it off of. I think it's here. There was a competition in this magazine. Is it here? There was always sort of stuff going on like this. But yeah, there's a competition somewhere that I cut out and sent off for, and I won. Can't believe it. And it's in here. Let's see if we can find it. That Scampion. Jason Champion. Still in Somerset. There we go, look. So I won this. Memories are flooding back to me now of me having the mickey taken out of me, because that there is a JVC pen. You got the big red one. You've got a videotape of the big red one. Come in that box, and you got this PlayStation 1 game called Panzer, which I think was probably ahead of its game time now. I remember it. That JVC pen came in a case, and I was keeping it, and I think my dad said, "Oh, that would make a good college pen." So I was like 15, so I was at school, and I told my friend, who still to the day that our relationship is just about taking the mickey out of each other, and he just would rip it out of me about this JVC, the college pen. It's all he ever did, the college pen. Oh, don't open the college pen. Of course, I never made it to college. I opened it and destroyed it within about a week. He probably broke it. But anyway, that arrived, unfortunately. It turned up, and I was playing on it. Yes, and unfortunately, I remember the day when that arrived as well, because it happened to be September the 11th, 2001. So obviously there was something going on the TV that was distracting me from that as a 15-year-old. It was quite the thing. So I was ill. I was ill when this came out. So this was August, September. I would have bought this in July. I was at home. I was ill. I'd been home all week. And I thought, I'm going to walk into town, and I did. And this magazine was in the Newsagent. Seems that I couldn't find this magazine in a Newsagent these days. And I bought it, and I remember walking down the street and I was flicking through. I was like, oh, is it going to be in there? And I stopped. I stopped like that, and I read it, and I went, I won. I couldn't believe it. And I felt a lot better then as well. So there we go. So that's history right there, if nothing else. 85, hang on, that's 86. So what is that? Yeah. Now, some have fared up better. Which is my favourite magazine, do you think? This one? It's kind of lovely that I've tried to keep it all together, isn't it? Because my partner would tell you that I don't keep anything nice at all. I don't really respect anything. I don't, I'm not sentimental about stuff, but I tell you what, these are coming with me the whole way. Yeah, so I've built this. How many Christmas presents has a famo been? I must have had it 4 times. There was a whole load of stuff. It's probably better shown. Hang on, where are we? It's probably better shown in the back of this one, because I think he shows what he's got for it. Yeah, there you are. Now there, I bought all of that. I got my dad to buy all of that, and I learnt very quickly that I could get more for Christmas spent on me if it was a model. If I wanted something silly, they wouldn't spend the money. So I got all of this. I got the Royal Model stowage, and I got all the ABBA sets. Well, how old am I? I just took the date off there. No, they haven't. Cow. Where's it gone? Yeah, the date's not on that one. Must have taken the date off. Look at that. I got the, oh no, Feb, March. It's not always on there. So Feb, March, this is April, May. Still 2000. Still 2000. Well, there you go, I'm 13, yeah. It's because of this magazine that I bought all of that. So I had that for my 13th Christmas when I was 13. And, yeah, never really got to the end of a famo. I want to remake it. Now, I managed to find the spade, so I got the spade. I've got the trailer still from this kit. I never made the trailer because I messed it up so much. The famo, I build the famo and then mess it up. So, yeah, I'm going to do that one day. It's going to be a holy grail build, I tell you that now. But yeah, so, I mean, simply here, keep your magazines, don't throw them out. You never know when nostalgia comes back to get you. I even built this. Oh, here we go. Talking about armour modelers. You know, excuse me. This is a very well-renowned modeler. A lot of you know this name. But that is one hell of a panther. There's just something about it as well. I think it's because they're using enamels. The sort of grittiness of it is just... I just don't see anything like it. Look at those pictures there. This is still up on Missing Links, I think. I found it on there. So if you search that name, it should come up. But yeah, on here, I know I'm getting a bit carried away now, so I'll rein this in. But there, I built that. That's on the channel if you want to look at it. Directly as a result of this build here. The editor, again, it's Marcus's. It's usually Marcus's stuff I like the most in these magazines. I don't know why. But yeah, there you go. Walleye. So, we'll have a deeper dive into these more specifically. So, less than a ramble. This is more of a sort of introduction to this. But I think this shows that there might be something to this. There might be a bit of interest to this that we could do on the channel going forward. So it's something I'm going to explore. Do let me know your thoughts down below. I know this is a long video. I'll make them more concise. But I thought I'd ramble on a little bit. What do you think about doing a retro build? It's all long-term stuff as well. You know, I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself, but I think it might be something that could be quite interesting. We'll just give it a base coat and then start to maybe follow along with one of the Verlinden guides. So try and build a tiger or something in olive drab. Not a grey panther, I draw the line there, but we've got the German grey. We could do German camouflage. We can do 4BO, olive drab, because it will, or desert, you know, Dunkelgelb. So we could have a look at that. And does this bring back any memories for some of you guys? Let me know. There's a comments page down there. Fire away. And I'll look forward to reading your comments. So as always, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this idea and we'll go from there. So as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.